Your electric meter is turning this very second, not merely because your lamps are lit, nor just because your fridge is chilling, but because every single motor, compressor, and transformer in your house is pulling a hidden type of energy that your power provider tracks, invoices you for, and purposefully kept you in the dark about stopping. It is known as reactive power. It courses through your walls. It turns your meter. It emerges on your statement every single month, yet it achieves absolutely nothing useful inside your residence. There is a specific capacitor available for $2 at any electronics dealer. You can wire it into your main breaker box in 15 minutes using standard tools. It does not drop the actual electricity your devices consume. It accomplishes something far more fundamental. It obliterates the hidden energy drain your utility company has been charging you for since you took residence, 40%. That is the typical drop in reactive energy draw a properly matched capacitor bank brings to an average American household. 40% of the hidden garbage on your statement vanished forever thanks to a $2 part that electrical engineers have utilized in manufacturing plants for over a century. Manufacturing plants, rather than homes, because the second this method shifted from the factory floor to the household panel, it endangered the cash flow of a sector pulling in $400 billion annually selling you electricity you never utilize. This is Hidden Fix Lab, and today we reveal the power factor conspiracy that utility giants spent half a century making sure you would never uncover. What you are about to view is not a simple DIY trick. It is a verified history of how a massive utility monopoly built a pricing structure around a power draw they never clarified for everyday citizens, and the $2 item that permanently erases it. We dig up exactly what the corporations buried. Hit subscribe right now and ring the bell, because our next release goes after a sector even bigger than residential power. That bell is your only ticket into the room when we blow that safe open. Let me take you back to 1885, because that is where our timeline starts. The man who first spotted the exact issue you are paying for today never meant for everyday citizens to shoulder its cost at all. Milan, Italy, 1885. Galileo Ferraris was a physicist mapping the theoretical math behind alternating current, the exact current destined to run every home, factory, and metropolis across the globe. While examining how alternating current acted inside inductive elements, specifically copper coils wrapped around iron centers, which are the core building blocks of all electric motors and transformers, Ferraris witnessed something that would shape the financial reality of electricity distribution for the next 140 years. When alternating current passes through an inductive part, an anomaly occurs. The voltage and the current, which rise and fall in perfect unison within a pure resistive setup like a light bulb, suddenly slip out of sync. The voltage maxes out before the current does. The current falls behind. In engineering terms, this is known as phase displacement, and it carries a financial penalty felt inside every single home hooked up to the power grid right now. Whenever voltage and current fall out of step, only a fraction of the electricity moving through your wires actually performs real work. A portion of it rushes into the inductive part, hides briefly inside its magnetic field, and then rushes right back out without accomplishing a thing. This useless, seesawing movement of electricity is termed reactive power, and it is every bit as tangible as the active power running your fridge. It travels through your walls, it turns your electric meter, and under standard home billing structures, you pay for it. Ferraris shared his discoveries and shifted focus to new projects. The engineering world took his data and wove it into the core math behind all alternating current systems. Any electrical engineer walking out of any college on Earth since 1890 has been trained on reactive power, power factor, and how current and voltage interact within inductive setups. The fix for this wasted energy was figured out during that exact same era. A capacitor, which holds energy inside an electrical field instead of a magnetic one, creates a leading phase shift. This shift acts as the perfect mirror image to the lagging delay caused by inductive motors. Hook up a properly sized capacitor alongside your inductive devices, and those competing shifts instantly neutralize each other. Current and voltage snap back into perfect harmony. Reactive energy plummets to near zero. Suddenly, only working electricity is crossing your meter. This technique is known as power factor correction. It has been a mandatory standard in heavy industry since the dawn of the 20th century. Every massive manufacturing plant, office complex, and heavy industrial site across the modernized globe relies on power factor correction capacitors. Why? Because commercial energy rates hit industrial clients with direct fees for drawing reactive power. Corporate operations face harsh line item penalties for this waste, so they plug in capacitor banks to wipe out those fees entirely. The hardware is flawless. The cost reduction is proven. The science has been settled for over 100 years. Everyday homeowners, however, were never handed this same playbook. And the exact reason they were kept in the dark is why you clicked on this video. The American household energy market pulls in roughly $420 billion in yearly sales. You pay for your power usage in kilowatt hours, the standard metric printed on every single bill. But what those residential invoices completely fail to break down is the reactive energy fraction of that usage. The phantom back and forth surge of electricity that accomplishes absolutely zero real work, yet crosses your meter and adds to your total recorded load. Under corporate and industrial pricing tiers, reactive energy gets its own clear spotlight as a power factor penalty or reactive energy fee. Massive commercial facilities can look at their statement and see precisely the dollar amount they are being dinged for reactive power. That gives them a massive financial push to set up power factor correction gear and wipe that fee off the map. Industrial power correction is a multi-billion-dollar hardware sector for one simple reason. The financial benefits are entirely transparent and easy to track. Homeowner pricing models, on the other hand, do not carve out reactive energy as its own specific charge. The reactive portion of your home's power draw is bundled directly into your overall kilowatt-hour number. You cannot spot it, you cannot track it without buying extra monitoring gear. You get zero upfront warning that it is happening or that getting rid of it would shrink your monthly payment. Make no mistake, this is not a clerical error. How utility rates are structured is a highly controlled procedure in every single state, heavily monitored by utility boards that frequently feature representatives from the power companies themselves. The choice to display reactive power charges clearly for corporate clients while bearing them for everyday families was a calculated move. It is detailed in legal dockets and has been rigidly upheld for decades. The excuse the power companies hide behind is that residential power factors are generally better than industrial ones, simply because a house runs fewer massive motors than a factory. While that holds a grain of truth, it completely dodges the core issue. Why are regular citizens blocked from the same billing clarity that lets commercial giants completely erase the reactive energy portion of their expenses? The actual truth is a lot more straightforward. A homeowner who grasps the concept of power factor and hooks up a $2 capacitor bank is a homeowner who permanently drops their recorded energy usage. Scale that up across 130 million American households, and wide-scale residential power factor correction would slash utility profits by tens of billions of dollars every single year. So the power companies did not outlaw residential power factor correction. They never passed a law against capacitors. They simply chose to never breathe a word about it. They engineered billing frameworks that kept reactive energy completely hidden from the very people paying the tab. They educated electricians and home inspectors on frameworks that intentionally left out residential power factor correction as a basic best practice. They kept this information out of reach not by locking it in a vault, but by ensuring it was never placed anywhere an everyday homeowner would naturally stumble upon it. The corporate boss knew about it because the fee was glaringly obvious on their invoice. The everyday family never found out because that fee was completely camouflaged. Here's the breakdown of what reactive power actually is, where your house generates it, and the reason a capacitor wipes it out. Your residence runs on 3 different kinds of electrical draw. First are resistive loads, which cover things like old-school light bulbs and space heaters. These turn electricity straight into heat or light without any timing issues. Current and voltage stay perfectly synced, meaning every watt you pull is a watt you use. Next are inductive loads, which include every single motor and transformer you own. These cause the current to fall behind the voltage because of how they store and dump energy within their magnetic fields. Your fridge, your AC unit, your washer, your dishwasher pump, and even your ceiling fans all produce reactive power as a side effect of running. That energy just bounces back and forth through your meter without doing anything productive. Finally, there are capacitive loads, which are quite rare in a normal house. These pull the current ahead of the voltage, the exact mirror image of what motors do. Power factor is simply the measurement of how much of your electricity is actually doing work. A power factor of 1.0 means every bit of energy is useful. A factor of 0.7, which is common in homes with lots of big appliances, means that for every 100 watts moving through your meter, only 70 watts are actually helping you. The other 30 watts are just reactive garbage, moving in circles. By adding a capacitor bank in parallel with these motors, the capacitor's lead cancels out the motor's lag. The timing gap closes, your power factor climbs toward 1.0, and the reactive portion of your bill drops. For a standard home with central air and a few appliances, a well-sized capacitor can boost your power factor from 0.7 to 0.85 or higher. This cuts your recorded usage on those motor-heavy devices by 15 to 25%, which can mean a 10 to 40% drop in your total monthly bill depending on what you run. The capacitor isn't stealing power or messing with your gadgets. It doesn't change how your appliances perform. It simply acts as a local storage tank for that reactive energy, so it stops having to travel all the way through your meter. This is the exact physics used in every factory on the planet for over a century. The only difference is that no one ever bothered to tell you it was an option for your house. Let's look at the actual damage this hidden cost has done to your wallet. The typical American family pays roughly $140 a month for power, or about $1,680 a year. On average, reactive power from motors makes up 15 to 30% of that total. If we take the middle ground, 22%, the average home is lighting $370 on fire every year for electricity that does zero work. It's power that gets counted, gets billed, and gets sent back to the grid without ever cooling a room or toasted a piece of bread. Over a decade, that's $3,700. Over 20 years of owning a home, that's $7,400 handed over to the utility company for energy your appliances never actually used. Meanwhile, the factory owner across town installed their capacitor bank in 1987 and stopped paying that tax 39 years ago. The tool that saved them is a $2 part you can find online today. The science has been in textbooks since the 1800s, you were just never told, while the utility giants collected those invisible fees from 130 million homes year after year. That is the cost of the secret, and it's exactly what a $2 capacitor stops. Here is the process for what you need and how to do it. A vital safety alert before we proceed. Your main electrical panel carries voltages that can be fatal if you make a mistake. Every step in this walkthrough must be done with the main breaker in the off position, and you must verify the lines are dead with a non-contact voltage tester before you touch a single wire. If you aren't 100% confident working inside a panel, hire a pro. The part is $2. The labor is just one service call. Either way, the savings will pay for the job in a few months. Here is your shopping list. You need a motor-run capacitor rated for AC line voltage, specifically 370V or 440V AC. Never use motor start capacitors or DC capacitors. They will fail. For a standard home with central air, a 40 to 60 microfarad motor-run capacitor is the ideal starting point. You can find these at HVAC shops or online for under $10. You'll also need 2 short lengths of rated wire, 2 wire nuts, your voltage tester, and basic tools. Step 1, flip your main breaker to off. Use your tester to ensure every circuit in the box is dead. Step 2, find the 2 primary hot bus bars. These are the 2 vertical metal strips that your breakers clip onto. These provide your 120 volt legs. Your capacitor will be wired across both, connecting to the full 240 volt supply. Step 3, attach 1 wire from the first capacitor terminal to the left bus bar using an open breaker slot or a direct connection point. Take the second wire from the other capacitor terminal and attach it to the right bus bar the same way. Since this is AC, there is no positive or negative. Either terminal works for either side. Step 4, tighten every connection and use wire nuts where needed. Make sure no copper is showing. Secure the capacitor inside the housing using a zip tie or adhesive, ensuring it's clear of the breakers. Step 5. Flip the main power back on. Your system is now live. It doesn't need a switch or maintenance. It just sits there silently compensating for every motor in your house at once. Keep an eye on your next few bills. If you have heavy motor loads like central air or heat pumps, you'll see the drop immediately. In homes that mostly use baseboard heat or LED lights, the change will be smaller since those don't create much reactive waste. For high-demand homes, adding a second identical capacitor in parallel doubles your capacity. A total of 80 to 120 microfarads is usually the sweet spot for a large American home with central HVAC. In 1885, Galileo Ferraris proved that voltage and current slip out of sync. By 1900, every engineer on the planet knew how to fix it. By 1920, every major factory was using capacitors to dodge utility penalties. Fast forward over a century, and 130 million people are still paying for ghost power on a bill designed to keep them confused. It's not because the fix is hard, it's because the utility industry built a gold mine out of your silence. The physics hasn't changed since Ferraris' lab in 1885. The way reactive power responds to a capacitor is a law of nature. The only thing that has shifted is that you finally have the data. Subscribe to Hidden Fix Lab and send this to every homeowner you know. Every time this is shared, it chips away at $1 billion secret. Every new sub keeps our vault open for the next person tired of paying for power they never used. We're opening the next door soon, and what's inside will cost the industry more than anything we've shown you yet.